You've tried the diets, you've tried the workouts, maybe you've even counted every single calorie. Despite all of it, the belly fat won't budge. You're not lazy, you're not broken. It's just that 95% of all doctors are missing the real root cause. Today I'm exposing the silent belly fat trigger that's overlooked by most people, and more importantly, what you can do about it starting today to melt stubborn fat. Without counting calories, without relying on willpower. In fact, this is pretty easy. Whether you've hit a plateau or feel like your body's working against you, this could change everything. Belly fat isn't about calories, it's about inflammation. Doctors are trained to blame belly fat on overeating or lack of exercise, but that's not how the body works. Fat accumulation, especially visceral fat, which is the fat around your organs, and stubborn belly fat, it's a communication issue. Most people go about weight loss with this mindset: I need to lose weight in order for me to get healthy. That's the calories in versus calories out approach. But here's the thing. If you're watching and listening to this right now and you have extra weight on your body, like I did, I used to be obese, you don't have a weight problem. I never had a weight problem. Nobody in history of this world has ever had a weight problem. It's a weight symptom. You see, you don't lose weight to get healthy, my friend. You get healthy to lose weight. It's about inflammation and hormones, essentially the communication within your metabolism. So when we tackle hormones like cortisol and your fat-burning hormones and also address cell inflammation, that's where you get healthy and the weight comes off as a side effect. And the best part about doing it this way, the weight comes off easily, it stays off, and it improves your overall health and well-being. It's not just theory. I've worked with tens of thousands of people from all across the world, men, women, all different ages, and they all got the same result, including myself. And studies back it up as well. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism in 2009, the researchers found that visceral fat, again, the fat around your organs, has more cortisol receptor sites than subcutaneous fat. Meaning when cortisol is high, your stress hormone, it literally fuels belly fat. It's called the cortisol belly. And it's not just cortisol. Another main driver here for weight gain and weight loss resistance is the hormone insulin. High insulin, high cortisol, you will never burn fat. But here's what nearly every doctor misses. There's one common silent disruptor that raises both cortisol, insulin, and inflammation inside of your body, all at the same time. When insulin is high and cortisol is high, it spikes your inflammatory levels. And I'm not talking about acute inflammation. There's a big difference between acute inflammation, which is a sore shoulder, a sprained ankle. That's not too problematic. I'm referring to chronic cell inflammation. Research shows that even lean individuals can have high levels of inflammatory cytokines in their visceral fat, organ fat. And this is the type of inflammation that drives insulin resistance and fat storage. So the question is, what's causing the inflammation? This is probably the most important part of the lesson, because when we could identify the interference, which is the inflammation, we could remove it, then the body goes to heal itself. We lower inflammation, you lower cortisol, you lower insulin, and your fat burning hormones get activated. You have more energy, you feel great. So here's what I believe are the top 6 drivers of high cortisol, high inflammation, and high insulin. I outline them all in my brand new New York Times bestselling book, Metabolic Freedom. Let's start with, I think, the main driver, because this driver is found in 80% of our entire food supply here in the United States. It's at all of your healthy restaurants, it's at your Whole Foods supermarket, and it is a silent killer, and it sabotages your health and prevents you from burning fat. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you a clue. The American Heart Association puts their stamp of approval on them at the supermarket. Have you guessed what it is? Vegetable oils, also called seed oils. I'll give you an entire list of the ones that are the worst ones out there, but before I do, here's how this creates inflammation and weight gain. When you consume seed oils, these fats are highly unstable. They're called polyunsaturated fatty acids. The word poly means many. So when we look at the chemical structure of these fats, it contains many double bonds. The more double bonds a fat has, the more unstable it is, the more reactive it is to oxygen, pressure, and heat. Okay, how do they process these fats? Oxygen, pressure, and heat. It goes rancid during the production. They add chemical agents and detergents, put it into a bottle, then we cook with them, we refry with them, and it is creating weight gain, weight loss resistance, and massive amounts of oxidative stress and disease inside of your body. There's a study I referenced in my book, Metabolic Freedom, from Dr. Martin Grudfeld, which showed that 25 French fries cooked in seed oils produced the same amount of aldehydes as smoking 25 tobacco cigarettes. Aldehydes are cancer-causing. They're inflammatory. They lead to weight gain and weight loss resistance. So essentially, if you've never smoked tobacco cigarettes in your life, great job. But if you've eaten, 10,000 French fries in your lifetime, you've essentially smoked 10,000 tobacco cigarettes. And these fats, there's a process called lipid membrane reorganization. I talk about this in chapter 4 of Metabolic Freedom. As soon as you consume these bad fats, they embed into your fat cells within hours. We heard the term before, you are what you eat. Yeah, that is true, and it happens a lot faster than what most people think. Oh, and it gets much worse. Once these fats end up in your cell membranes and adipocytes, which are your fat cells, they stay there for years. The half-life of these fats is about 680 days according to the research. That means if you stopped eating them today, 2 years later, half of them will still create inflammation in your body, leading to disease and weight loss resistance. So here's the list. This is the list you want to write down. And as soon as you write it down, go to your pantry, do an audit on every single food in your pantry, in your refrigerator. Make sure it does not contain these following 8 fats. If it does, throw it away. And I will give you a list of healthier options that actually help you burn fat. So here's what Dr. Kate Shanahan calls the Hateful Eight. These are the ones you want to avoid. We have canola oil, called rapeseed oil in the UK. We have corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, rice bran oil, and grapeseed oil. Those are the 8 you want to avoid. Now, I would add another inflammatory fat that most people miss, and definitely almost every doctor misses, and that's going to be fish oil. Fish oil is even more unstable than a seed oil. Even if it's processed the right way, when it mixes with your warm body temperature and your stomach acid in your gut, it goes rancid. So instead of the fish oil, eat small, fatty fish. So I'd throw in fish oil as a bad fat to remove. Instead, we want to support inflammation, meaning we want to lower inflammation and regenerate those cell membranes much faster so you're not getting rid of those bad fats in 2 years, or the half-life in 2 years. You could dramatically increase that by incorporating healthy saturated fats and healthy monounsaturated fats. Okay, we talked about the double bonds in seed oils. Poly means many, so many double bonds. Saturated fats, which have been villainized by your doctor and villainized by just mainstream news and your dietitian and nutritionist, contain 0 double bonds. Saturated fats have no double bonds. They are highly stable, highly anti-inflammatory. The best fats that help you burn fat are saturated fats. So where are you going to find that? You're going to find saturated fats in butter, ghee, coconut oil, beef tallow, duck fat, and even lard from a healthy source. You'll find it in eggs, beef, organic poultry and pork, and also venison and bison and organ meats. Then we have monounsaturated fats, which contain 1 double bond. Not as stable as a saturated fat, but still way more stable than the polyunsaturated fats, which is the seed oils. These are going to be avocado oil and olive oil, great for salad dressings and dips. If you did nothing else, I have a lot more tips for you in this lesson, but if you did nothing but this simple swap, you'll lower inflammation, you'll overcome a weight loss stall, and you'll add years to your lifespan. But there is a lot more here. The second thing I believe that's driving insulin resistance, weight gain, and your belly fat is going to be processed carbohydrates. When you consume processed carbohydrates, it dramatically spikes your blood sugar levels. The higher your blood sugar levels go, the more insulin is produced by your pancreas. The more insulin that's produced, the more you signal to your metabolism, store fat. Insulin is high, you're storing fat. Insulin is low, you're burning fat. I'll give you an example of a processed carb versus a regular carb and how there's a huge difference. When you go to the supermarket and you look at a potato and you look at the ingredient list, what do you see? You see one ingredient, what you're looking at, the potato. But when you go to the inner aisle and buy potato chips and then look at the ingredient list, what do you see? 15, 20 ingredients, because it's now processed. It contains the bad fats we mentioned. It contains a lot of artificial chemicals that are hopefully getting banned in the US very, very soon. And the potato chip versus the potato, there's a completely different glucose and insulin response from the chip that is processed versus the potato. So when you're eating carbs, if you choose to eat carbs, you want to eat whole food carbohydrates. You want to eat whole foods in general. We've heard that before, but it really makes a huge difference. Now, with carbohydrates in general, you don't want to go over 100 grams of total carbohydrates per day. That will spike glucose and insulin, even from whole food. And if you could keep your total carbohydrates under 50 grams per day and the rest of your calories coming from protein and fat, you will get even more results in this protocol here. Now let's move on to what I believe is the third driver for fat storage, especially belly fat. That's going to be environmental toxins. Chapter 5 of Metabolic Freedom takes a huge deep dive into environmental toxins and how to open up your detox pathways. And I'm not going to get into all of that now. Go get the book. But I will say that some easy things you can do, I'll give you some swaps in a second for some easy things you can do. But we think about toxins as the following. Microplastics are a big issue. They're finding microplastics in the testicles of men, lowering sperm count, creating infertility. They're finding it in both men and women's brains and arteries. We are turning into a plastic generation. These plastics disrupt your hormones. They're called EDCs. Endocrine, which means hormones, disrupting chemicals. They mimic estrogen. They drive inflammation. They drive cortisol. They drive insulin. And these toxins are called lipophilic. Lipo meaning fat, philic meaning loving. These are fat-loving chemicals. When they enter your body, they literally increase the size of your belly fat and all of your fat cells, because that's how the innate intelligence, this inner physician within your body, this doctor essentially in every cell, protects you. The number one priority for the human body is survival. So when these toxins, these microplastics and other toxins enter your body, your innate intelligence does not want these toxins to freely circulate in your bloodstream. That could kill you right away. So it shuttles them through a pathway called PPAR gamma. You don't really have to learn that pathway, but that pathway shuttles those toxins where there's room. Your fat cells. And if there's no room, your body, your innate intelligence and metabolism will literally increase your fat cells for those toxins to go in. Oh, you ran out of room? We will create new fat cells. This is the belly fat. This is the weight loss resistance. This is the love handles and the visceral fat. The toxins are driving it because the solution to pollution is dilution. So where are we finding these microplastics? We're finding it in plastic water bottles. So in general, for the most part, you want to use glass water bottles instead of plastic. Instead of plastic Tupperware, you want to switch over to glass, and never, ever microwave plastic Tupperware. Those plastics will leach into the food and it will create a big problem. Just because something is microwave safe, it just means it's not going to explode in the microwave. It doesn't mean it's safe for your body. We also want to switch over from plastic cutting boards if you're doing that, which results in a ton of microplastics going into your food. Swap over to wooden cutting boards. And one more hidden thing that you might not realize is leading to weight gain and weight loss resistance. This is a habit you're doing at the supermarket. Can you guess what it is? You're probably doing it at the gas station. You're doing it at all stores that you visit, and it's causing weight gain. You are saying yes when they ask you if you want your cash register receipt. Studies that I referenced in Metabolic Freedom show that one individual cash register receipt has 1,000 times more of a toxin called BPA than in canned food. So when you grab it, that immediately goes into your skin, into your bloodstream. And I see women put it in their bra. I see men and women put it in their pocket. Now your pocket's contaminated. So say no to cash register receipts. And I could share a lot more about environmental toxins, but go get Metabolic Freedom. Chapter 5 is what you want to learn about. Okay, let's move on to the next thing I believe is driving weight gain, weight loss resistance, and belly fat. That's going to be sleep deprivation. Chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom goes deep into this. Sleep is where you detoxify. Sleep is where you burn fat. Sleep is where you heal. If you're not getting quality sleep, you're not going to burn fat. Numerous studies show that just 1 week of poor sleep categorized as 5 hours or less in healthy men lowered their testosterone levels, increased their blood sugar and insulin levels. That's a problem. So we want to get quality sleep each night. If you're not tracking your sleep, track it. I use this ring called an Aura ring, and I'll drop a link for the Aura ring in the notes down below, but you could also use an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, a Whoop Band. There's a ton of devices out there. You're looking to achieve 90 minutes of deep sleep, 90 minutes of REM sleep each night. If you hit those targets, you will burn fat, you will lower cortisol, you'll have more energy. REM sleep is where you take short-term memory and process it for long-term memory. So you'll get better productivity, mental clarity, less brain fog with enough REM sleep. Deep sleep is where you also burn fat. Also in REM sleep, you burn fat, but your brain shrinks in size. You flush out toxins. It helps with preventing Alzheimer's, dementia, and a lot of these brain disorders. So track your sleep. A few things you can do to get more deep fat burning sleep at night is no food at least 3 to 5 hours before bed. Wear a sleep mask. Turn your thermostat to 65 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where the studies show you get the most deep sleep. Avoid artificial light and stimulation right before bed, and go read chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom. The next thing I believe is causing weight gain and weight loss resistance and belly fat that most doctors miss is overexposure to blue light. Blue light is the light around me right now, artificial light. From your TV screen, your computer screen, your fluorescent lights in your house. When you get too much blue light, this is inflammatory. It weakens and poisons essentially your mitochondria, which are responsible for burning fat and energy production. So as you can see, when I'm around blue light throughout the day, like I typically am, I'm recording a ton of content for you pretty much every day. I wear these glasses. They're blue light blocking glasses. They're not prescription. I see perfectly fine. They're simply helping me filter out the junk light so my brain doesn't have to filter it out. So I highly recommend wearing high quality blue light blocking glasses throughout the day. These are called Viva Rays, and I have a discount code for Viva Rays, which I'll drop in the link down below. And getting sunshine throughout the day and just going outside 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there also helps to combat the blue light with healthy rays of red light. So make sure you're not getting overexposed to blue light, especially at night. This does disrupt your metabolism and lead to weakened mitochondria. And lastly, we have to address chronic stress, mental, emotional stress. And this could be a whole hour podcast if I went into it. But look, it's not about avoiding stress. It's about adapting to the stress. We don't want to live in a bubble. I learned a few things. Look, Bob Proctor said this to me before. He said, you are the only problem you will ever have. You're also the only solution. And I've adopted an approach from Dr. Michael Beckwith. He said, when anything happens to you, there's a 3-step solution to mastering that stress so it doesn't master you, because we already established high stress, high cortisol, a lot of receptor sites in your belly fat for cortisol. It'll cause a cortisol belly. So here's the 3-step solution. He said, number 1, whenever it happens to you, whether it's somebody who cuts you off in traffic, I don't know, you lose a client, you lose a relationship, someone says something awful on the internet, whatever happens, the first step is this. It is what it is, accept it. Either it's going to control you or you're going to control it. Step number 2, harvest the good. The more you look for it, the more you will find, and God is always good all the time. Step number 3, let go and forgive. Let go means to abandon completely. Let go, forgive, and forget the rest. That's the 3-step solution. So when stress happens in your life, you could react to it like most people do, or you could pause and respond to it. Viktor Frankl said in Man's Search for Meaning, if you don't know Viktor Frankl, he was a Jewish psychiatrist who was held in the Jewish concentration camps in Germany during Hitler's reign. And he said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, when something happens to you, between that stimulus and your response lies your power. Okay? So it's important to master your stress. Chapter 10 of Metabolic Freedom is all about that. And look, I know we are watching and listening to this lesson because you want to burn fat. There's a lot of aesthetics involved, but it's not just about that. If you don't make any changes, then disease will manifest in your near future. When chronic inflammation is high, it raises cortisol. Cortisol spikes blood sugar. Insulin goes up. High insulin slows down fat burning. And over time, your cells become inflamed too. This creates a vicious cycle where your body becomes resistant to both insulin and leptin, which is your fat burning and satiety hormone. And if you don't make changes, an inflammatory belly increases risk for Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and even certain cancers. You can't out-diet this. You can't out-calorie count this. You can't out-exercise this either. You have to address the inflammation. And the last thing I'll leave you with here before I get to your commonly asked questions is a supplement that I want you to take every single day. This supplement will help you burn fat. It'll help lower cortisol and increase oxytocin. It'll help with your immune system. It'll help with brain fog, autoimmune, insulin resistance. Pretty much any symptom you're dealing with will get improved the second you take this supplement. It's called vitamin G. Vitamin G has been studied by UC Davis. I put some of their references in chapter 10 of Metabolic Freedom. UC Davis shows that those who take vitamin G have healthier blood pressure levels, healthier blood sugar levels. Harvard put a study out in JAMA showing that in 49,275 nurses, the nurses who took vitamin G every single day had a 9% chance of dying from all-cause mortality versus the nurses who didn't take vitamin G, and a 15% reduction in dying from cardiovascular disease. You might already be on Amazon looking for vitamin G or in the show notes looking for vitamin G. You won't find it because vitamin G is the feeling of gratitude. It is vitamin gratitude. Every day, as a part of your protocol here, feel gratitude because what you appreciate, it appreciates. And what you think about and what you think about, you bring about in your life. And you could get vitamin G right now by sharing with me. If you're watching on YouTube, in the comment section, what do you have vitamin G for today? Let's get to your questions. Before I do, I want to encourage you to get Metabolic Freedom. New York Times bestselling book just came out. It's been endorsed by Dr. Mindy Pelz, who wrote the foreword, and many other researchers in our space. It has a 30-day step-by-step plan for you to lose up to 20 pounds in 30 days. And in some cases, like John Miller, he lost 44 pounds in 30 days. It tells you exactly what to eat, what to avoid. We get into sleep toxins, and it takes this lesson into a deeper understanding. So it's available on hardcover, Kindle, Audible, and Spotify. I narrated those audios myself. And we're going to give you a free course on the metabolism when you buy the book today over at metabolicfreedombook.com. Or if you're watching on YouTube, scan the QR code you see on the screen. We'll also drop that link in the notes down below. Now let's get to your questions. How can I test for cellular inflammation at home or with a doctor? What lab should I ask for? There's a few tests you can get done that are blood tests for inflammation, like high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is HSCRP. Ideally, we want to see that under 1.0. Mine is usually under 0.5. Homocysteine is another good marker. You want to see that in the single digits. A fasting insulin blood test, a very important test. You want to see that between 3 and 6. And then I would also get an A1C test, which is the 3-month average of your blood sugars. And I want to see that under 5.2% or at 5.2% or under. So ask your doctor for those tests. Can I reverse this inflammation, silent inflammation, without supplements, just through food and lifestyle? You can. And I'm a big supplement guy. And I didn't talk about supplements here except for vitamin G. But our crops are so depleted, our soils are depleted. It's hard to get all the vitamins and nutrients from food alone. But do everything I shared today and see what it does for you. You might not need to take supplements, but if you do take supplements, some of my favorite I mentioned in chapter 11 of Metabolic Freedom. How long does it take to see fat loss once I reduce inflammation and insulin resistance? Days. You could lose 5 to 10 pounds in the first week of following the steps I outlined here. And then week after week, you'll continue to lose weight, lower inflammation, and feel good. There you have it. I hope this was valuable. Please share this with everybody you know. Go pick up Metabolic Freedom over at metabolicfreedombook.com. Leave this a rating and review if you're listening to this podcast on your audio podcast. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And by the way, one of the most anti-inflammatory fat-burning foods are eggs. And I have found that you could lose up to 10 pounds in 7 days with a specific keto egg protocol. I shared that in a previous lesson. Here's a clip from that, and then click the video on the screen and watch that protocol, and let's continue burning fat and feeling good. I'll see you in that lesson. This protocol is perfect for the following people. You've lost some weight, but you still have the last 10 pounds to go. It's also for the person who has an upcoming event, an event that you want to look lean and you want to drop 10 pounds in a week. This will do it for you. This is also for the person who has fallen off track with their diet and nutrition and want to get back on track to kick